Mr. Chairman, working with the other members of the Commission towards moving back to the current standard for waivers rather than the new standard which you propose in this draft?
Well, first I should say I would absolutely consider working with all of the commissioners on any of the proposal, to the extent that any of them are willing to engage in the substance of it, to try to figure out and they have proposals on how they think that could be improved to make it better.
Let me just ask this: is your intent that this be a high hurdle or just a speed bump?
No. I think it should be. I think that when there's a presumption in favor or a presumption against the merger, I think it should be a high hurdle.
A high hurdle. That's helpful. Let me then turn it to Commissioner.
The one thing I would add is I do think it's important that the previous waiver policy was only for financial distress.
I understand that.
I think that one of the critical factors that we should be considering is their commitment to start new local news, and I think that that would be something that I would be hesitant to not be able to take into account.
Okay, Commissioner Copps.
I don't think it's a Berlin Wall.
Can you?
I don't think it's a Berlin Wall, and I don't think it's a speed bump either. I think it's an on-ramp to more consolidation in many markets across the country. This is a tremendous loophole. So all you have to do, and as I say, in the top 20 markets, is meet the presumption, but or you're presumed to have met it. In the smaller markets, you have to demonstrate that you're meeting that presumption. But we make this so very, very easy. It's not even a test. It's just factors that we will consider. That's what it's called. Does a combination produce more news? We're not looking whether it produces more news for the market. We're looking to see maybe they added one little column in the newspaper, so okay, they do that. Do they maintain independent news judgment? You know how we're going to determine that? We're going to look at their organizational charts and their titles of the people who hold them. So that's not exactly the most stringent kind of test I've ever seen. We look at levels of concentration. We haven't done a very good job of that. It's hard to get levels of concentration on any market in this country, and we go through proposals where you count the New York Times the same as a penny shopper. So you know, that's a little bit leaky too. And then we look at financial condition. You know, I've never met with a company at the FCC that doesn't come in and say they're in financial distress at some point. They're all in distress. They're all broke. Of course, then they go to Wall Street and they say, "Whoopee, we're doing so great." But when they come down here, it's moan and groan and bewail their horrid fate.
Commissioner Copps, could I just hear from Commissioner Adelstein on this subject for a second?
I would certainly agree. All of the standards are so loose that there's virtually no line that is drawn that's set in stone. All of them are like shifting sands. Financial distress, it's not even financial distress, it's financial condition. I could always say, I'd like my financial condition to be better. Who wouldn't? Newspapers right now, their margins have gone down from 30% to 20%. Very high by corporate standards. And yet they could argue, well, gee, we've had our revenues margins cut by 1/3. Even though we make more money than everybody else, our financial condition is affected. Therefore, they'd be eligible for a waiver. You talk about the other standards. They're all so loose. Level of concentration in the market. No definition of the level of concentration.
You've heard both of their comments, Chairman Martin, but you say you want a high standard. That would be difficult to me. Could you explain the difference in perspective in terms of the language which you are using in your proposal? And would you be willing to work to find language that would rate the presumption which you're saying, which is that it's a high hurdle and not a speed bump?
Sure. Well, look, first I would say I absolutely would be willing to work with them on finding language if that would make them feel more comfortable that this is a high hurdle. So I absolutely would be willing to work with them. For example, on the level of concentration, our typical concentration analysis, we use a HHI concentration analysis because broadcasters aren't selling a product to consumers. We have traditionally looked at the advertising market as a surrogate for the level of concentration among properties. So that's traditionally how the Commission has looked at that level of concentration. Some public interest groups have criticized that.